Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 16th Annual People's Choice Podcast Awards. I'm excited to be with you. Of course, we're coming to you from the New Media Production Studio in Coldwater, Michigan, which is designed by a great company called Automute.com. To introduce myself, my name is Todd Cochran. I am the founder of the People's Choice Podcast Awards. I personally will celebrate 17 years in podcasting early next month with having completed over 2,000 episodes across 3 different shows. Of course, a few pod-faded one as well. And of course, today I'm currently hosting actively 3 different podcasts. I'm also the founder of Blueberry Podcasting. Just as a word of disclaimer, Blueberry Podcasting is really not at all related to the awards. This is solely owned and operated by me and the podcast committee. Happy International Podcast Day. This is a day where we celebrate podcasting. I hope that you've done your best to celebrate podcasting in the best ways you've known and talked about podcasting on social media and the different places where you share your shows. It's a great time to be in podcasting. To give you a little history, the Podcast Awards were started in 2005, and I started them as a way to honor podcasters globally with an emphasis on letting the audience pick the nominees and also pick the winners. No other podcast awards uses this process where the listeners are solely in charge of who becomes the nominees and becomes the winners. There's no other selection process. It's purely done by the audiences of podcasting. Of course, we do have a small number of voters that are handpicked. These are typically podcasters that we randomly pick from the selection. 10,000 listeners, 500 podcasters are the ones that do the final voting on the final slate of shows. I do want to thank our tech partner, One Technologies. They've been with us for many years, keeps the website running, make sure the auditing goes good, make sure there's no fraud within the entire process that we have. And this has resulted this year in 8.2 million, yes, 8.2 million podcast listeners participating in the awards. And of course, I really do want to thank all of our sponsors, all of our supporters, everyone that has taken care of us this year for the show. And I guess really, we were really blessed to have a key sponsor come on this year. And it's our good friends, our very, very good friends from Linktree. And Linktree is really an absolutely amazing product. And I want to share with you a message from them, and then we'll come back and talk about Linktree for just a second.
At Linktree, we understand podcasters. We know you have a lot on your list, from building and engaging your audience to monetizing your podcast. Power up your pod simply with Linktree. Linktree is your podcasting super tool. Share your entire digital universe from one link. Anyone clicking your Linktree URL can discover your latest content. Grow subscribers with frictionless email and SMS sign-up. Monetize with merch. And receive payments and support directly from your audience. Embed Spotify and video content, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch. Engage your audience in the moment. Your Linktree can easily be customized to look like you. Better understand your audience with Linktree's analytics, which platforms and locations your clicks come from, and how that delivered more engagement. Join some of podcast's biggest names who are already using Linktree to power their pod. Help fans discover, listen, watch, support, share, and love your pod. Share it all with one link. Use this coupon code at checkout for 6 months of Pro for free. Power up your pod with Linktree.
If you haven't already, make sure you get over to Linktree, linktr.ee/podcast awards so that you can follow the Linktree for this event. And of course, really, it's more than just Linktree coming in and supporting the show. They've also been a sponsor of our two of our new 7 or 8 categories that we introduced this year. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But more importantly, there's other folks that have come in and supported us this year to be able to make this event possible. And if I can get everything queued up correctly, I'll do that. And again, take advantage of that Linktree free offer. And if you forgot the link that was in the video, you can rewatch the video later or just click on the banner at podcastawards.com. We also this year had a number of podcasters as well that step up. And I'll be honest with you, the podcast sponsors throughout the years have really carried the load for us and allow us to do what we do. And I like to honor them as well. And of course, we're going to start off with the first podcast that stepped up this year to support us, and that was Sips, Suds, and Smokes. Definitely, you'll be able to check all these podcasters' pages out, or websites out by the link in the sidebar of the website. Also, This Little Light of Mine podcast, the podcast A Window to the Magic Disneyland Adventure podcast. We've got Legend from the Pacific podcast. We have Talk About Apple podcast, Weird Darkness, Eczema Breakthrough, The Adventure of Memento Mori, The New Media Show, the Podcast Insider, the official podcast of Blueberry Podcasting. And we also got media partners as well. And we really want to be thankful for the folks over at the International Podcast Day. They've supported this event for many, many years. They're not doing their live 24, 30-hour event this year. But what they are doing is they've stepped up and basically said, Todd, we're going to continue to support you. And they've linked to the podcast awards from the International Podcast Day website. So we want to thank them so very much. We also want to thank James Cridlin over at Pod News. He basically stepped up and they've covered us a lot in the newsletter over there. So we want to thank all of our media partners. They're really, really special to us to help us through and make sure that we've been able to deliver everything that we said we're going to do for the awards this year. Now, many of you are waiting for us to get into the announcements. I promise we'll get there very, very quickly. But here's some things I want to talk about that we did this year that is new. We added categories, and this was by popular demand. Many of you have asked for new categories, and really to add a new category to the awards is relatively expensive. It takes about $800. That's a crazy number. $800 to add a new category to the awards by the time we get done with the accounting, the tech support, the trophies, everything of it. It's about $800 a year per category. So it's a big risk for us to add these and make sure that everyone got trophies and everything that goes along with the event. So this year we decided to add fiction, history, leisure, and true crime as new categories to the awards. We also add best female hosted podcast, best male hosted podcast, best black hosted podcast, best Asian hosted podcast, best Spanish hosted podcast, and the best podcast listening platform. Those were all added, and we had huge response to these new categories being added. So total tonight, we're going to honor 30 different categories of podcast and podcasters. But more importantly, we added 2 additional things. We also added the listener and podcaster influencer of the year, which I will announce tonight as well. How did we collect and how did we determine who was going to be our listener and podcaster influencers of the year? It was simple. When podcasters signed up to participate in the event, we'd ask the podcaster, who has influenced you the most in the past year? And when the listeners came and voted, we asked them who and what podcast influenced you the most. I think you're going to be excited to see those results as well. So, of course, 2021, all of the category winners get a beautiful trophy. And the nominees will be able to order a trophy on the side if they want. Even prior year folks, maybe they missed out or didn't have the budget to order a trophy, will be able to do so as well. Now, one thing that's unique here, and you'll notice as we go through the categories tonight, you'll see some of the categories have subnames on them, like the Coverville Music Podcast category. Why do we call it Coverville Music Podcast or PodSafe Music category? It's because the Coverville and a variety of other shows won their specific categories at least 5 times. And when they do that, they no longer become eligible to win their specific category. And we have a few shows that have gotten close in recent years to basically locking up their category as well. But the ones tonight that are existing are, and I'd like to honor those because these are legacy shows that have participated in the awards throughout the years, is Coverville, the PodSafe music category, ESPN Fantasy Focus Football in the sports category, the Feast of Fools / Fun LGBTQ category, Free Talk Live, which covers the politics and news category, Manager Tools for the business category, Rob has a podcast for the entertainment category, the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe for the science and medicine category, This American Life for the arts category, WDW Radio for the travel category, the Majority Report for politics and news, and Grammar Girl for education. And I tell you, all of these folks have had or have fantastic podcasts throughout the years. So the moment is upon us for the awards to be announced. And I'll start by announcing the nominees. But more importantly, I do apologize in advance if I destroy anyone's show name, especially when we get into the Spanish category. Some of those are a little tough. As a matter of fact, I have a announcer for the main Spanish category. So, but we're glad to expand the awards this year. It's my pleasure to be here to do this. We want you to make sure that when you're on the website at podcastawards.com, you sign up for our mailing list so that you are informed when the new, basically when we're going to reopen nominations for 2022. We have an opportunity, and we're talking to a couple of parties to potentially partner with another company next year to do the awards, another entity. We're still making the decision whether or not we're going to do that. So sign up for the newsletter or for the mailing list. That link is on the website. Also, tonight, as you're tweeting and congratulating people, make sure you use the hashtag PCA21. Follow our Twitter account at Podcast Awards as well. We want you to do that. Let's share this wide and far on Facebook, Instagram, all the places where you share social media. Let's honor the nominees. And remember, making the slate is a significant accomplishment in itself. And winning the category, of course, is the frosting on top of the cake, right? But we really want to honor everyone that was nominated. And all these shows, check them out. If you're into a specific category content, subscribe or follow to all those podcasts, and we'll get them honored here starting right now. I'll quit talking. So, or keep talking, but we'll get to the main event here. So what I'm going to do here first is we'll bring up the arts category. I do have to make a queuing on my side to make sure that we're ready to run the videos. We are. And we'll start off. And of course, congratulations again to all the nominees. And we're going to start it with the arts category. In the arts category, the nominees are Dads Drinking Bourbon, Friends in Fiction, Moms Don't Have Time to Read, Over Coffee, Shakespeare Unlimited, Sips, Suds, and Smokes, The Hive Podcast, Unleash Your Inner Creativity, We Like Drinking, and Wine Blasts. And the winner in the arts category goes to Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Congratulations.
Hey everyone, John from Dad's Drinking Bourbon here. I can't believe it. It feels weird even recording this, but three-peat, I am humbled. I can't even believe it. Thank you so much for letting us be nominated in and win the Best Arts Podcast for the third year in a row. We are so appreciative. And I just love everybody in this community, everybody who's podcasting, everybody in the bourbon community. Thank you for listening to us. I can't believe two dads making a podcast about whiskey has resonated so much, but we are so thankful it has. And we are thankful to every single one of you and thankful to the Podcast Awards Committee and everybody who puts this on. Thank you. Keep listening. We'll be listening to all of you. There's a lot of great podcasts out there that we love listening to as well. So cheers, and we'll talk to y'all soon.
I must say, this year we received a number of unique acceptance speech videos. So I hope that you enjoy them as much as I have previewing them, part of the awards ceremony. Next category up is Manager Tools Business category. The nominees are Affiliate Insider, the Affiliate Marketing Podcast, Big Girl Money, Broadway Biz, Dear Workplace, Extraordinary Women Radio, I Make a Living, Local Leaders, the podcast, Money Making Sense, Video Games, Real Talk, and Wickedly Smart Women. And the winner in the Manager Tools Business category goes to Video Games, Real Talk. Congratulations.
Thank you, Podcast Awards, for honoring Video Games Real Talk in the Manager and Business Tool category. When we went out and started off VGRT, we did it with the idea that we wanted to celebrate the video games industry and really talk about things that mattered in terms of gaming and how people could actually make a successful living within this industry that has done so much for us. It's worked out. We're very happy about the actual reception we have, and I want to thank our team, Streamline, our fans, our community, everyone who's gotten into VGRT and really has supported us over the time that it's been around. We have a lot more coming, and we look forward to sharing that with you as we continue to go forward. Thanks again, and keep on doing your thing.
Moving on to the comedy category, the nominees are And That's Why We Drink, At Least You Didn't, Beach Too Sandy, Water Too Wet, Chatty Broads, Funny People Talking, Girl Interrupter, Let's Get Haunted, Masked Debaters, Spitballers Podcast, Tell 'em Steve, Dave. And the winner in the comedy category goes to Tell 'em Steve, Dave. Congratulations.
Hey, I'm Brian Johnson, Walt Flanagan. Our third member, Brian Quinn from Impractical Jokers, is not here, but we are of the Tell 'em Steve, Dave podcast. And we just won Comedy Podcast of the Year, Walt. Can you believe it? Thank you to all the ants for voting. And I know it was not easy. You had to put your email address in. It was a real feat. So thank you so much for handing us this award.
Again, congratulations. In the Grammar Girl Education category, the nominees are Accented, Learn English Through Conversation, Adulting 101, Curiosity Daily, Design Together, Immigrantly, Moments of Clarity with Tiffany, Once Upon a Time, a storytelling podcast, Skeptoid, Teachers in America, Word Matters. And the winner in the Grammar Girl Education category goes to Once Upon a Time, a storytelling podcast. Congratulations.
We wanted to thank you all so much for not only nominating us, but voting for Once Upon a Time, a storytelling podcast for Best Educational Podcast. It's a true honor.
There are so many people that we need to thank, especially our incredible guest hosts who donate their time and share their knowledge and passion with all of us. I also personally want to thank my parents, my family, and my friends for all of their encouragement.
I'd also like to thank my wonderful parents, grandparents, friends, and family who have overwhelmed us with support, and my sister, who also happens to design our logo and branding each season. In addition, thank you to all of our featured artists and fellow podcasters who've collaborated with us this past year. This show is truly a collaborative effort and a labor of love.
We can't wait to continue sharing stories and building communities of storytellers. Thank you.
Again, congratulations. In the Rob Has a Podcast Entertainment category, the nominees are Behind the Real Podcast, Cam Girl Chronicles, Comments by Celebs, Dating Diaries, Questions and Confessions, Fearscape, a paranormal podcast, Gender Blender, Mighty Marvel Geeks, Nerd On, the podcast, Pulp Culture Warrior, and there it is. And the winner in the Rob Has a Podcast Entertainment category goes to Nerd On, the podcast. Congratulations.
Whoa!
Wow.
Thank you so much. This is incredible.
Hot diggity dangles.
I'm speechless. This is incredibly exciting to win in entertainment.
Yes.
We've wanted it.
We have wanted it bad. Everybody that voted for us, thank you so much for voting for us. Our audience
that matter.
Yes, our audience that came through and voted for us in the initial nomination. Shout out to the Nerd On Nation.
Yes.
Supported by Patreon, powered by Patreon. Everybody's dope. Our listeners are amazing. Our family who support us in this crazy endeavor to keep making content as much as we do. It means so much, and just, so grateful to be a part of the Podern family, all the other podcasts that are out there. Amazing people, and really happy to be among you. So that's it. Just a huge thank you to everybody. Really grateful to win in entertainment. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations. In the fiction category, the nominees are Carcerium, Dirty Detective, Fan Fiction of the Week, Find Us Alive, 40s AF, My Town, Spirit Box Radio, Tales to Terrify, The Binary Saga, The Legacy Saga. And the winner in the fiction category goes to Spirit Box Radio. Congratulations.
Hello, everyone. I'm Pippin, creator of Spirit Box Radio and voice of Sam Enfield in the show. Thank you so much for this award. It truly means the world. I make the show from my little bedroom, surrounded by cats. I'm actually under my bed right now, where the show is made. And it's amazing to find myself amongst so many amazing shows. Spirit Box Radio is made with so much love and enthusiasm, and it wouldn't have been possible at all without the incredible cast of voice actors, all of whom consistently knock it out of the park and do an excellent job of bringing to life these characters which otherwise would have only existed in my little brain. So, thank you to Will, Billy, Ellie, Becca, Kay, Thais, Freya, Rose, Mars, Daisy, and my dad. And of course, extra thanks to Ripley, Alex, and Jesse for the many hours you've had to sit through me waffling on about the minutiae of the show. To all of the faithful listeners of the show who pour so much of their own love and creativity into it and the little community around it, thank you so much. Every one of you is worth the world. Have a beautiful rest of your day and stay spooky.
Again, congratulations. In the games and hobbies category, the nominees are Two Nerds in a Pod, a video game podcast. Could Have Been Heroes. Gen X, Grown Up. It's Super Effective. Roll for It. She Plays Games. The Reason I'm Broke. Things I Got Wrong at Trivia. Unprepared Casters. We'll Save the Podcast. And the winner in the games and hobby category of the 2021 Podcast Awards goes to Two Nerds in a Pod, a video game podcast. Congratulations.
Mr. Nice Guy, can you believe it? We won games and hobbies.
Let's go!
We did it! Thank you! This is such an honor. I mean, Mr. Nice Guy and I, our entire friendship has just been defined by video games, and years later, in spite of many moves across the country, it's those things that have kept us as, as friends, and it's what has made doing all of this so much fun. It's about the games. It's about the hobbies, and we're thrilled that we could share in that. Thank you, everyone, for recognizing our passion and for first nominating us and then finding us worthy of the trophy. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we started out with bad mics, bad cameras in my basement, just having a good time, and we're still doing it. We've upgraded, and we're having a blast. So it's all about the video games. It's about the friendship. Thank you so much.
Thanks. You're terrific.
Again, congratulations. In the government organizations category, the nominees are ATB Financials, The Future of, Diary of a Congresswoman, Ears Adrift, Deployments on the Home Front, Holding Down the Fort podcast, Inside the FBI, The American Millspouse, The Days for Girls podcast, Panjwai podcast, Transit Unplugged, and the U.S. Secret Service Standing Post podcast. And the winner in the government and organizations category goes to Inside the FBI. Congratulations.
I'm Monica, and I'm accepting this award on behalf of the Inside the FBI podcast team. First, I want to thank all the listeners and voters who chose us as Best Government Podcast at this year's People's Choice Podcast Awards. Having this recognition from you all means so much to us, so thank you. Next, I'd like to thank all the guests who've appeared on or contributed to our episodes. Your expertise has been invaluable in letting us get out important information to the public and in telling the FBI story. Finally, I want to thank our amazing team. Our podcast program is truly a group effort, and the show just wouldn't be possible without everyone's help. We put this podcast together about a year and a half ago during the pandemic, and it's been a true labor of love. And we're really lucky that we are able to say that about the work we do every day. I'm so proud of everything we've accomplished so far, and I look forward to all our future episodes. So again, on behalf of Inside the FBI, thank you.
Again, congratulations. In the health category, the nominees are For the Health of It, a Trauma Survivor Thrivers podcast, Bald and Blonde, Breaking Body Biases, COVID Noise Filter, Dementia Matters, Hear Me Now, Infertile AF, Mental, the podcast to destigmatize mental health, Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. And the winner in the health category goes to Mental, the podcast to destigmatize mental health. Congratulations.
Hi, I'm Bobby Temps.
And I'm Danielle Hogan.
And we're the hosts of Mental, the podcast to destigmatize mental health. And we're so honoured to be winning this award in the health category for the third year running. It's such an honour and really helps us keep up the work we do.
Yeah, we are absolutely so grateful to all of our guests and all of our listeners and everybody involved to really help the conversation keep going around mental health and mental illness. Oh, and of course to our producer Pete.
Yes.
Who edits all of our rumble. But yeah, we're just really grateful, everybody. Thank you so much.
And thank you, the Podcast Academy and Todd, for all the work you do.
In the history category, the nominees are Based on a True Story, Duchess, Earth Ancients, Historically Accurate, History Detective, Radioactive Taiwan, This American President, Vanishing Postcards, Warriors in Their Own Words, and While Rome Burns. And the winner in the history category goes to Based on a True Story. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. When I started Based on a True Story back in 2016, I didn't expect that it would still be going 5 years later. I know a lot of podcasters are watching this now, and I think you can all agree with me when there's really one huge thing that keeps us going as podcasters year after year, and that's the listeners, the emails, the texts of encouragement, and the stories of how the show helps offer some comfort or an escape from a difficult year. And that's the reason why my show is still going all these years later. And hopefully it'll still be going another 5 years and beyond. So thank you to everyone who has listened to the show over the past 5 years. You are awesome.
Again, congratulations. In the Kids and Family category for the 2021 Podcast Awards, the nominees are Authored by Us, Cool Facts About Animals, Dad, I'd Like to Friend, The DILF Podcast, Discovery Mountain, Fairy Tales with Granny McDuff, Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls, Little Mind Chats, Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books, No Guilt Mom, The Birth Hour. And the winner in the Kids and Family category goes to Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls. Congratulations.
Hi from Rebel Girls. Thank you so much for the Kids and Family Podcast Award. We are so thrilled to be able to tell the stories of these amazing women every day. And we'd love to shout out to the girls around the globe who are big readers, big listeners, and our big audience. Thank you so much. Stay Rebel!
Again, congratulations. In the leisure category, The 2021 nominees are 1923 Main Street, the Disney Travel Podcast, 28 Summers, Book Interrupted, Bubbly Bibbly, Dad's Drinking Bourbon, Greetings from Somewhere, the OSIS Podcast with Denise and Stephanie, The Wonderful World of Wine, WWW, Time to Teach Podcast, and the Turkey Leg Talk Podcast. In the leisure category, the winner goes to Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Congratulations.
Hey everyone, John from Dad's Drinking Bourbon here. Just want to say thank you for nominating us in and letting us win the Best Leisure Podcast Award. We saw this and we're like, what is more leisureful? Is that even a word? Than drinking bourbon. So we just figured it would be cool to be in that category, and that is one that we would like to win. And I just want to thank each and every one of you for listening to us, supporting us, and just for doing what you do. A lot of people put in a lot of work for podcasts. We're very appreciative to the community, to all of you, to the awards committee. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And to our listeners, an extra special thank you. We will keep on drinking bourbon and talking about it, and we hope to have a pour with all of you here soon. Cheers.
Again, congratulations. In the Feast of Fools / Fun LGBTQ category, the nominees are All the Boys, the podcast, An Older Gay Guy Show, Derek and Romaine, Geish, Hello from the Hollywoods, If These Ovaries Could Talk, Queer Magnolias Podcast, Talk Out Loud, The Adam Sank Show, What? That Old Queen? And the winner in the Feast of Fools / Fun LGBTQ category goes to If These Ovaries Could Talk. Congratulations.
Oh my God, we won! Oh my God, I can't believe it. I really won. I can't believe it. I really can't believe it.
Fourth nomination, our second win. I like the numerology of that. Thank you so much, People's Choice Podcast Awards.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm in disbelief. I really am. Holy moly. We were up against some hard, heavy hitters.
There was some amazing competition and some amazing podcasts in this category. But thank you so much. We are so honored, and all our listeners and everyone who's been supporting us while we go through this journey of making a podcast, which, not so profitable.
Like making a baby. It's like making an LGBTQ baby. That's what it is. That's where it's at. No, it's not. It's not at all. But thank you. That was so weird.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And we said we're honored.
We are very. Namaste.
No, don't do that, Jamie.
Namaste. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it all day.
Again, congratulations. In the Coverville PodSafe Music category, the nominees are 27 Club, Cinematic Sound Radio, Everything Fab 4, Here Comes the Break, the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast, One Bourbon, One Charred, or One Beer, Ouch, You're on My Hair, Riffs on Riffs, The Punk and the Princess, and We Buy Records. And the winner in the Coverville PodSafe Music category goes to We Buy Records. Congratulations.
Hello, I'm Paul Field.
And I'm Tim Scullion.
And we won a podcast award. I can't believe it, Tim.
Hey.
Do we have to say thank you to people?
Yes, well, so we are the voices of We Buy Records podcast. Came from nothing.
Yep.
We did it. Who should we thank?
We should thank everyone at the Podcast Awards for putting the event on and encouraging grassroots podcasts to take part, which has been fantastic. And the way they structure it means that everyone has a shot. It's not all the big guns gobbling up everything like it is in the UK.
Because we're pretty small.
Well, we don't have a website, we don't have a Facebook, we don't have an Instagram. We basically run our whole podcast on a Twitter feed, which is quite unorthodox. But we just, a massive thank you to all of the listeners, to our supporters. Special thank you to the guys at Mute Records, who've been fantastic, helped us a lot. Huge thank you to the guys at Castles in Space as well.
Thank you so much, guys. And thanks to everyone on Twitter who's been so supportive of us. I mean, we keep trying on the pod to get people to email us, so it's not quite so Twitter-centric, but we do acknowledge that Howard. Follow us on Twitter. It's been amazing, and we wouldn't be what we are without them. So thank you, everybody who listens, who gets in touch with us, who generates free content by answering our stupid questions on Twitter. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
I'm a bit of an LP fanatic myself, and I've never listened to their show, but now I'm going to. Incredible set of records behind them, and any of you that have never listened to LP, you should. Next category is the Majority Report News and Politics category. The nominees are, consider this, Dudes and Beer Podcast, 5-Minute News, Mr. Throwback Thursday, Pod News, Politico, EU Confidential, The Still Spying Podcast, Today Explained, Water Cooler Talk Podcast, and, yes, We Canada, the Progressive Guide to Getting the Fuck Out. Congratulations to the winner of the Majority News and Politics Report goes to Dudes and Beer Podcast. Congratulations.
Hello, People's Choice Podcast Awards. Chris Jordan here, host of the Dudes and Beer Podcast on the HCU Universal Network, coming to you from Austin, Texas. Let me begin by saying I am entirely humbled to not only be nominated for a People's Choice Podcast Award in the category of news and politics, but to have won. In addition to that, I would like to also thank my audience for your years of dedication and open minds to the hard conversations regarding humanity that we take on our show. I'd also like to give a full-hearted thank you to my wife Amy, my son Dalbus, as well as my family for your continued support in not only my mission with this show and its message, but with the continued support you have given me throughout the years in producing this show. Thank you again for the nomination. Thank you again for the award. Until next time, everybody, remember, if you can't be good at it. We'll see you on Dudes and Beer. Bye-bye.
Again, congratulations. In the religion and spirituality category, the nominees are All Things, All People Podcast, Better Work Bitch, Quedamos Personas Hablamos de Superación, Free Your Inner Guru, Graceful Atheist Podcast, Haunt Her, I Barely Knew Her, How to Be Good, Paranormal XL Podcast, Psychic Matters, The Bible in a Year with Father Mike Schmitz, featuring Jeff Cavins. And the winner in the 2021 Religion and Spirituality category goes to The Bible in a Year with Father Mike Schmitz, featuring Jeff Cavins. Congratulations.
Hi, my name is Father Mike Schmitz. I want to thank you so much for being awarded the Religion and Spirituality Award for the Podcast Awards here. Incredible honor. Obviously, I have none of the credit because it's God's word. I want to thank the Lord himself for giving us his word. Also, I just really want to thank the Bible in your community, because as people who have journeyed for a couple hundreds of days or more to be able to get through the Bible, it's been incredible to receive your support is what I'm trying to say. Also, if you have not ever checked out the Bible in Your podcast, I want to take this opportunity to invite you to maybe like, subscribe, share it with your friends, all those podcast things that you are probably sick and tired of hearing from. But thank you so much. This award means a lot to me.
In the Skeptic's Guide Science and Medicine category, the nominees are Behavioral Grooves, Candid Athletic Training, Curiosity Daily, Dementia Researcher, DNA Today, Just the Zoo of Us, Science and Beyond, This Pathological Life, Unbiased Science, and Your Space Journey. And the winner in the Skeptic's Guide Science and Medicine category goes to DNA Today. Congratulations.
Thank you so much to our loyal listeners for helping us to defend our title this year for the Best Science and Medicine Podcast Award. We won the award last year, so it's really exciting to be able to defend our title again this year. And I started this podcast, DNA Today, as a high schooler, and now I have my master's in genetics. So over the last 9 years, it has been such a fantastic experience to learn about genetics along with my audience. And DNA Today explores how genetics impacts our health through conversations with leaders in genetics. And we were really excited this year to hit our 150th landmark episode. This featured Dr. Quake, who was the 5th person in the world to sequence his genome, and Dr. Ashley, who helped him decipher this. We also featured 2 series on the show this year. First about cystic fibrosis, a genetic disorder, and the second more related to the COVID-19 pandemic with telehealth. Our show would not be possible without our amazing sponsors, KGI, Fulgent Genetics, Harmony Biosciences, Terrace, Genomenon, Illumina, Thermo Fisher Scientific. I wish I had time to name all of our sponsors. But again, a huge thank you to the listeners, especially those who've been listening since the beginning. We really appreciate your listenership. And a big shout out to our social media lead, Corinne Merlino, who is such a big part of our team. And thank you to the Podcast Awards. We really appreciate what you do every year, bringing the podcast community together. Thanks again.
Again, congratulations. In the Society and Culture category, the nominees are Elder Wisdom, Stories from the Green Bench, A Colored Girl Speaks, Meditations on Race and Other Magical Things, Accidental Swingers, American Hysteria, Brain Candy Podcast, Monsters Among Us Podcast, The Vile Files, Unexplained, Weird Darkness, and Were You Raised by Wolves? And the winner in the Society and Culture podcast category goes to Monsters Among Us. Congratulations.
Wow. I can't believe I won. This is literally one of the coolest things that's ever happened to me. First of all, I want to thank everybody that took the time to register, to vote, to lend their support to Monsters Among Us. And that goes to everybody that's called in, everybody that's donated, everybody that's joined the Patreon. I can't thank you guys enough. I also want to thank the People's Choice Awards. This is an awesome thing. I can't believe I was nominated, let alone won. This just tells you there's spookier things in store for us. So thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it.
In the ESPN Fantasy Focus Football Sports category, the nominees are 1-2-3 Wildcats, A Winning Mindset, Lessons from the Paralympics, All Things Covered with Patrick Pedersen and Brian McFadden, Around the NFL, Bikes of Death, Fantasy Football Today, Morning Combat with Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell, Nothing Personal with David Sampson, The Fantasy Footballers, and WNBA Nation. And the winner in the ESPN Fantasy Focus Football Sports category goes to the Fantasy Footballers. Congratulations.
Andy, Mike, and Jason from the Fantasy Footballers, we just wanted to say thank you for this spectacular award.
Especially you.
Yeah, no, not you. You. Yes,
In the
thank
back.
you. Look, it's an honor to be recognized for something we are so passionate about and something that we love. Want to thank all of our listeners. Want to thank the Podcast Awards and
thanks sports.
And thanks to sports.
Love sports. Yeah,
sports
good
are
work,
good.
sports.
Yeah, I've been a big fan for quite a while, actually. So thank you so much for this recognition. We appreciate it.
Again, congratulations. In the Storyteller Drama category, the nominees are 27 Club, All Things Unexplained, Are We Dead Yet?, Atomic Bombshell, Chicano Squad, Disturbed True Horror Stories, Myths and Legends, Real Life, Real Crime, Stories with Sapphire, Weird Darkness. And the winner in the Storyteller and Drama category goes to Myths and Legends. Congratulations.
Hi, everyone. We're Carissa and Jason Weiser from Myths and Legends. First off, it is such an honor to win this award. So thank you to the People's Choice Podcast Awards. Thank you to Oren and the team that we work with and everyone at Cast.
And thanks most of all to everyone who has voted and everyone who has listened for the past 6 years.
Without our audience, we're nothing. So we are very appreciative that you're here.
Thank you so much.
In this Week in Technology category, the nominees are Barcode, Beyond Bosch, Code Story, Follow Friday, Hacker Valley Studio, Sit Down Startup, That Tech Show, The Great Indoors, the Vergecast, the Weekend Catch Up Club, and the winner in the winner in this Week in Technology category goes to Barcode. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah. What's up, everyone? Listen, I'm truly honored and overwhelmed with gratitude to have been selected to receive the People's Choice Podcast Award in the technology category. You know, to be recognized is amazing, although I couldn't have done it on my own. So I need to give a shout out to my squad. Specifically, Tony the bartender, aka Tony Marcosi, Vignesh Arun Kumar, Mike Elkins, Gabe Doncel, Pete Clabe, Ken Chorus, Alex Zabrowski, and of course my wife, Talita, for her continued support as I sharpen my podcast skills and build my brand. Lastly, to all of the phenomenal guests that have trusted in me and were willing to share their perspectives, insights, and stories with all of us. Without these cybersecurity professionals on my side, I certainly wouldn't be here, so I thank you all. Trust me, I'm going to continue to innovate new ways of delivering the message of cybersecurity through my podcast. And for those who haven't listened yet, I ask you to hit up thebarcodepodcast.com and check it out. Thanks again for everyone that listens, and I'll see you next round.
In the true crime category, the nominees are Abuse of Power, Fresh Hell Podcast, Once Upon a Crime, Real Life, Real Crime, Small Town Dicks, The Opportunist, True Crime Psychology and Personality, Unraveled, The Long Island Serial Killer, Weird Darkness, and Women of Crime. And the winner of the true crime category goes to Small Town Dicks. Congratulations.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for this incredible honor. I'm Yardley Smith, one of the co-hosts of the true crime podcast, Small Town Dicks, along with detectives Dan and Dave. We, including our mascot, Zipper, are over the moon to win the true crime category. I have to thank our fans. We have the best fans in the Podoverse. Thank you so much for your votes. It means everything. Also, to our small but mighty team, who include Gary, Logan, Soren, Alec, Aaron, Monica, the real Nick Smitty, my business partner Ben, and of course, the heart and soul of our podcast, Detectives Dan and Dave. This is so exciting! Isn't it exciting? Yay! Thank you so much. Thank you. Wow, amazing. Huh?
In the regular category, in the last regular category this year, we have TV and film. And the nominees are 1980s Now, Are You Afraid or Are You Afraid of the Dark? Game of Roses, I Hate It, But I Love It. Marvel Cinematic Universe Podcast. Nerd On, the podcast. Popcorn Psychology. The Blacklist Exposed. The Sin Files. Welcome to the OC, bitches. And the winner of the TV and film category goes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe Podcast. Congratulations.
Today on the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, we won!
Hey! Oh my gosh. We cannot say thank you enough to all the people out there who voted for us. We are just a tiny little independent podcast network, and we just thank you guys so much for showing so much love, going out. Absolutely blown away that we won this category. It's crazy.
I'm just shocked that we were nominated, but then this happened.
Exactly.
Shocked for one and astonished by two.
The people.
The people.
Thank you to everybody who writes in.
Yeah, because otherwise we would have nothing.
Yeah, you guys make the show so much better, and the fact that you
at all just make the show at all.
yeah, you guys make the show possible and make it better every week, and so thank you so much. We love you so much. Love you 3,000.
Love you 3,000.
Love you 300.
Thank you to all the other Stranded Panda podcasts that have been involved this year, being on the podcast so much, because we've had so much content to cover, and we couldn't have done it without all you guys. So thank you.
And thank you to the Podcast Awards for facilitating this, for putting this on.
Yeah, seriously. Thank you to the Podcast Awards. Thank you to all of the listeners. That's the main thing. And thank you to all the other Stranded Panda hosts. We love you all. Love you 3,000.
Love you 3,000.
Love you 3000. Until next time, true believers.
Before we get into the best of categories, I want to take just a second and do a little preface announcement here. All of these shows self-designated which category they were going to be in for best of. I think it all lined up in the end, but I just want to tell you we didn't go through and do a bunch of moderation and handpicking and deciding if someone had picked the wrong category or not. But I think we've got a great lineup of best of shows. I'm happy to share them with you. We're going to start out, though, with the best podcast listening platform. And I think we really kind of left this up to chance this year to see how this would go. We'll go ahead and kick to that. And I will also say on the best Spanish category, I had a friend who speaks fluent Spanish introduce the category. So let's go ahead and get the best podcast listening platform introduced and announce that winner. The nominees in the best podcast listening platform are Amazon Podcast, Apple Podcast, Blueberry Podcast Directory, DNR Studios, Google Podcast, Overcast Podcast App, Pandora, Podcast Addict, Spotify, and Stitcher. And the winner in the best podcast listening platform, the winner goes to Apple Podcast. Congratulations. We did not have the teams of the best podcast platform submit acceptance speeches this year. We'll do it another year out year. This is the first year trying this. But again, congratulations. The listeners pick Apple Podcast. Again, congratulations. Moving on to our best Spanish hosted podcast, I'll let my favorite friendly podcaster make the introduction.
Hola, soy Esteban Cosillo de About Mansfield Podcast y me siento honrado de presentar a los nominados al mejor podcast alojado en español. Son Aves de Colombia, Que Sale el Diario, Como Yo Lo Veo, Consejo de Varón, Podcast de Dani Tres Palacios, Proyecto El Método Arjona, Se Regalan Dudas, El Show de Rick H., Tropi Podcast, Venezuela, Crisis y Esperanza. Felicitaciones a los nominados.
And the winner in the best Spanish hosted podcast goes to Consejo de Varón. Congratulations.
Consejo Varón started as a place to serve others by providing useful information that people can learn from. Today, we continue to work with the same objective in mind. I want to thank all the wonderful people who have decided to take their time and participate by sharing from their knowledge in order to benefit others while expecting nothing in return. I also want to thank all the people who has now joined the Consejo Varón team and are active participants to help this podcast move forward. This award means a lot to me, and I am forever grateful, but I will be foolish to think that this was accomplished thanks to my own efforts. So to all those who have made this possible, I thank you, especially to my co-host Stephen Jones, my marketing director Nelida, and my beautiful wife for supporting me in this project, Anna. But most special gratitude to God for guiding me in my life and teaching me how to be someone who serves others. Thank you.
Again, congratulations. In the best Black hosted podcast category, the nominees are Two Nerds in a Pod, a video game podcast, About a Girl, All Things Covered with Patrick Pedersen and Brian McFadden, Black Opera Live, Extraordinary Gentlemen Podcast, Life, I Swear, the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast, The Daily Empath, There It Is, Unleash Your Supernova. And the winner and the best Black hosted podcast goes to Two Nerds in a Pod, a video game podcast.
Hey, thank you so much for voting us best Black hosted podcast. And by us, I mean me. right? I mean, let's just call out the elephant in the room. Seriously though, thank you so much to our audience. We really appreciate all of you who voted, all of you who continue to listen, and shout out to all the other nominees. So many great podcasts in this category. Two Nerds in a Pod, a video game podcast. We love what we do. Please continue to support us on Twitch. Please continue to support us on iTunes. We are all over the internet. Share it with a friend. Keep podcasting and doing your thing. Thank you so much.
You're awesome. Thanks.
Again, congratulations to Two Nerds in a Pod. In the Best Asian Hosted Podcast, the nominees are A Trauma Survivor, Thrivers Podcast, Back to Health, Check Your Head, Mental Health for Musicians Podcast, Dear Workplace, Immigrantly Podcast, Inspired Money, Roots and Rhymes, Stories with Sapphire, The Imagined Neighborhood, Tuckered Out with Amy Thacker. And the winner and the Best Asian Hosted Podcast goes to Check Your Head, Mental Health for Musician Podcast. Congratulations.
Wow, I am beyond thrilled to be accepting this People's Choice Award for Best Asian Hosted Podcast for the 2021 Podcast Awards. I'm especially proud to be in this category because it was my parents, my Chinese father and my Japanese mother, who instilled in me a strong work ethic, creativity, and gave me the love and confidence I needed to live a joyful, positive life. So thank you, Mom and Dad. As a music journalist and in healthcare, being the host and producer of the Check Your Head Mental Health for Musicians podcast came naturally for me. But having experienced depression and anxiety firsthand was really the catalyst. With the will to get better and accepting help from family and friends, I finally found the mental health solutions that led to my recovery. Yet I know there are musicians who suffer silently with their mood disorders, with many having lost their battle, like Amy Winehouse, Kurt Cobain, Chris Cornell, and Chester Bennington. The Check Your Head podcast is dedicated to these musicians and others who are living with mood disorders. It was created to give hope and inspiration so that you can discover the better life waiting for you after recovery. Thank you to all the Podcast Award voters for this prestigious People's Choice Award, our partners at Sweet Relief Musicians Fund, and especially to our loyal listeners of the Check Your Head podcast. You truly rock, and always remember to be brave, ask for help, and be persistent in finding the mental help that you need.
Our next category, which is the Best Female Hosted Podcast, is going to be introduced and announced and awarded by our sponsor of the category, Linktree. I'll cut this over to Mark. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Mark Rako, head of audio for Linktree and host of our podcast, Beyond the Feed. Linktree is proud to sponsor and present the nominees for Best Female Hosted Podcast. And they are About a Girl, Bedtime Stories for Adults, Chatty Broads, Derek and Remain, Fresh Hell Podcast, Grammar Girl, Let's Get Haunted, Moments of Clarity with Tiffany, The Opportunist, and Wickedly Smart Women. It's a great list and a lot of terrific shows. Congrats, everyone, for your nominations. And the winner of Best Female Hosted Podcast is Fresh Hell Podcast. Congratulations. Here is their acceptance speech.
Congratulations to Fresh Hell Podcast. Here's their acceptance speech.
Servus aus Österreich. Hi from the United States. Thank you so much for the award for Best Female Hosted. It's an incredible category to have been nominated in, and we want to thank all the other nominees for the awesome work that they're putting out. And of course, I have to thank my partner in crime, Johanna. Without you, there would be no Fresh Hell podcast. Somehow you make us sound like we're in the same room, even though we've never met. We want to thank our listeners, our most amazing Hellions. We really do have the best listeners. We're so grateful for you. And I'd lastly like to thank my family, my husband, Paul, especially, and the rest of my family for their support in helping me make this happen with you every week. Thank you so much.
Yes, also from me. Thank you to all of you out there. Thank you to everybody in our Facebook group for being the most awesome group there is. There's barely ever any tension or fighting going on. We really appreciate that.
You're the best.
Thank you to Jem and Leela, who is somewhere over there. Thank you to Philip, my husband. He's the best. He's awesome. To my family, thank you for voting for us. I can't believe we won Best Female Hosted.
It's
like,
amazing.
How is that even possible? And thank you to Annie, because you're the best and I love you.
You're the best and I
Bye.
love you.
Keep going. Bye.
Keep going. Bye.
Tschüss.
Once again, our best male hosted podcast will be introduced by the category sponsor, Linktree. Thank you for them sponsoring this event and being our key sponsor this year of the Podcast Awards. I'll kick this over to Mark to introduce and announce the best male hosted podcast.
Hi, Mark Rako here, head of audio for Linktree. And Linktree is proud to sponsor and present the nominees for Best Male Hosted Podcast. And the nominees are Around the NFL, Cuidamos Personas, Hablamos de Sonrisas, Dads Drinking Bourbon, Dudes in Beer Podcast, Morning Combat with Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell, Nothing Personal with David Sampson, Real Life, Real Crime, The Fashion Geek Podcast, The Vile Files, and Unexplained. It's a great list and a lot of terrific shows. Once more, congrats everyone on your nominations. And the winner of Best Male Hosted Podcast is Real Life, Real Crime. Congratulations! And here is their acceptance speech.
Again, congratulations to Real Life, Real Crime, Real Life, Real Crime. And again, big thanks to Linktree. Here's the acceptance speech.
Hey y'all, it's Woody Overton, your host of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. And boom, bitches, we just won the People's Choice Podcast of the Year Award for Best Male Host for 2021. And it wouldn't have happened without you lifers. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. You tell your neighbors and your uncles and your sisters and your mama's plumber or whatever, and you're helping us grow. I appreciate it. You know, People's Choice, you did it. So I owe it to y'all. The lifers are the best fans in the world. I've always said it. I'll put you up against anyone, and I meant it. I also want to thank my executive producer, Toby Tomplay, for stepping up the game on the sound. I appreciate you, bro. You rock. And my beautiful bride and the CEO of Real Life, Real Crime, who actually makes everything happen. Cindy, love you. We did it. And it's amazing, right? And my kids and family for putting up with me. Our new partners, iHeartRadio and Cloud 10 Media. Thank y'all. Can't wait to see what we're going to do together in the future. And I love and appreciate each and every one of you to be voted best male host. It's crazy. Love it, love it, love it, though. I wouldn't trade a moment of this for anything, y'all. So love you. Thank you. Congratulations, lifers. You did it. I'm Woody Overton, your host of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. Until next time or ever, don't let me catch you down on murder. Bye, you. Peace.
These next two awards are really special to me in that we have now the opportunity to allow podcasters to recognize those that have influenced them and listeners to recognize who has influenced them by listening to different shows. And it's a great category. I'm excited to announce this. You're going to notice that podcasters name individuals and listeners name shows. So we're going to go ahead and switch to this segment. Go ahead and get this queued up for you. And there's no nominees. It's just the winners or the influencers of the year. So let's go ahead and fire this up. The 2021 Podcast Influencer of the Year include Amy Porterfield, Marketing Made Easy, Brene Brown, Unlocking Us and Dare to Lead, Joe Rogan of the Joe Rogan Experience, Kevin Smith of Smodcast, and Tim Ferriss of the Tim Ferriss Show. Congratulations to these podcasters being recognized by fellow podcasters as the 2021 Podcast Influencers of the Year. Not to be undone, we're going to announce the 2021 Listener Influencers of the Year. Again, congratulations to Brian Campbell and Luke Thomas of Morning Combat, Father Mike Schmitz with Mike Gavins in Bible of the Year. The Bible in a Year. Jess Ambrose and Becca Martinez of the Chatty Broads, Nick Vile of the Vile Files, and Walt Flanagan, Brian Johnson, and Brian Keown of Tell 'em Steve and Dave. Congratulations to these podcasters and their shows for being our 2021 Listener Influencers of the Year. And with that, we've got one category left. It is the biggest category of them all. It's the People's Choice Podcast Award. This is the highest honor you can get for being a podcaster in these award processes. Every show that enters to participate in the podcast awards is automatically entered in People's Choice. The listeners then, through the 8.2 million people that came in and nominated all the shows in all the categories, got to vote on a full stack of podcasts in that list for People's Choice. This is huge. This is a big honor. This is the granddaddy, the Mac Daddy Award of them all. And without delay, I will go ahead and queue up our nominees and announce our winner. Our 2021 nominees in the Adam Curry's People's Choice Podcast Award. And the reason this is named the Adam Curry's People's Choice Podcast Award is because Adam Curry is the podfather of podcasting. He's the one that got it started in 2004. We would not be here without him and a number of others. But we recognize Adam as the podfather. And the nominees are, And That's Why We Drink, Chatty Broads, Derek and Romaine, Game of Roses, Morning Combat with Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell, Real Life, Real Crime, Sips, Suds, and Smokes, Tell 'em Steve Day, The Bible in a Year with Father Mike Schmitz featuring Jeff Cavins. And the winner of the Adam Curry People's Choice Podcast Award, drum roll please, goes to Tell 'em Steve Dave. A hearty congratulations to this team of podcasters for a job well done, well earned. Congratulations.
Hey, I'm Brian Johnson, and this here, Walt Flanagan. And we're from the Tell 'em Steve Dave podcast. And if our third member, Brian Quinn, were here, he would say the same thing we're saying, which is thank you to all the people, to all the ants for voting us People's Choice, what was it, People's Choice Award for the podcast awards this year. And we needed it. We needed this ego boost because we haven't won an award in some time. And frankly, we deserve it.
Again, I want to thank each and every one of you that participate in the podcast awards. And more importantly, I want to thank all of the listeners for their contributions of their time, going through the shows, voting, registering, making sure that we had a beautiful slate of podcasts to actually final vote on. If you've enjoyed the podcast awards and what we've done here, and you want to stay tuned to what's going to happen in 2022, all you have to do is sign up for the mailing list. We're not going to barrage you with a bunch of emails. We'll just make announcements when registration is going to open and a few announcements here and there. That sign up is on podcastawards.com. Do not delay to sign up for that. Of course, we again want to thank all of our podcast sponsors. They really have held and carried the water for us for many years. And thank them so very, very much. We want to thank our key sponsor, Linktree. Definitely get over and get yourself a Linktree account. They've made you a great offer, a great deal to get 6 months free of that service. So check it out. It's inexpensive. It's a great tool to use in social. We're using it exclusively here at Podcast Awards. Everything that's going on. Announce is in our link tree at linktr.ee/podcast awards. Follow us on Twitter at Podcast Awards. Again, my name is Todd Cochran. It's been my pleasure to bring you the show. For myself and the entire podcast community here at the Podcast Awards, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for tuning in. Please share this on social. Please link back to the Podcast Awards website. Make sure that you follow and subscribe to all these shows in these categories. They've done a great job. And it's a way that we get to honor independent and commercial podcasts together at one time. I think the results speak for themselves. Congratulations to all. Have a good night. Thank you so much. From the New Media Production Studio here in Coldwater, Michigan, everyone take care. We'll see you next year on the People's Choice Podcast Awards. Take care. Bye-bye.